The Sigma male. The rarest type of male. The lone wolf who carves their own destiny against the grain of what is expected. The pinnacle of masculinity. The ultimate form of cope used by the chronically online and socially inept. Although only coming into its own in recent history, it is clear that through my extensive, scientific, and highly meticulous research, the Sigma male archetype is deeply ingrained within human history and culture. William Shakespeare's Othello, which was written in circa 1603, houses the antagonist Iago, a manipulative, cunning, and selfish Machiavellian villain. His cunning, lack of empathy, and disregard for morality in pursuit of appealing to his self-interests strongly align with the image of Sigma males in popular media today. Now, why bring up the Machiavellian? I understand that they seem completely unrelated. One starts with an S, and the other starts with an M. Completely different. But you're wrong. The term Machiavellian was first introduced into the English lexicon in 1607, much in part to the popularity of Italian diplomat Niccolo Machiavelli and his work The Prince. The book gained a reputation for recommending to rulers to be prepared to use corrupt and unscrupulous methods to control subjects and hold on to power. These ideas were adopted by Shakespeare, who began using the term Machiavel to denote amoral and opportunistic characters, finally transforming into the personality trait of Machiavellianism in the mid to late 20th century through psychologist Richard Christie, who adapted Machiavelli's political philosophy for psychometric use. In this context, Machiavellianism is characterized by manipulation, indifference to morality, lack of empathy, and focus on self-interests. Cool. A bunch of nerd talk? Now, let's get to the good stuff. The Sigma. First rising in the 2010s, the Sigma male is a recent phenomenon which became cemented into the modern psyche as it gained major traction as an internet meme in the early 2020s. The archetype originated from the internet forums and message boards, such as the aptly named Manosphere! Let's go! Just like the Alpha and Beta, the Sigma is based on the pseudoscientific socio-sexual hierarchy and sits right at the top. The term is commonly used to idolize characters from popular media and promote the ideal representation of masculinity. Alternatively, it's also used negatively alongside the term incel to mock and satirize concepts such as the Manosphere and the Sigma grind set by uncultured beta cooks who just don't get it, man. They just don't get it. I am the peak of masculinity. Don't you understand? Anyway. Sigmas are traditionally characterized by their independence, strategic thinking, and enigmatic motivations. They are often depicted as successful, popular, and silent rebels who operate outside the normal social hierarchy. Popular influencers often reference stoicism alongside the Sigma male to describe their preference of not displaying deep emotions or allowing them to influence their decisions. Unlike another popularly discussed and mocked male archetype, the Alpha, Sigmas are considered introverts who seek to dominate themselves as a form of self-mastery. In a sense, they are essentially just the archetypal, highly romanticized lone wolf. Through the internet's perpetual game of telephone, the Sigma has slowly morphed into a form resembling that of the Machiavellian. Sigma's emotional distance, independence, and strategic brilliance act as fuel for Machiavellian manipulation, moral indifference, and pursuit of their twisted self-interests. In some ways, the Machiavellian is in some senses the darker cousin of the traditional Sigma, and a sizable chunk of Machiavellian villains overlap with the Sigma male trope. Within the Sigma sphere... Oh, wait a second. Within the Sigma sphere, characters from pop culture deemed as cool epic loner dudes are labeled as Sigmas. probably to boost the dwindling egos of real Sigmas. Characters such as John Wick from, well, John Wick, Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, and DC Comics villain Joker are top picks as Sigma male superstars, as well as vessels for Sigma male mockery. In particular, Patrick Bateman is a prominent icon used to symbolize the Sigma male archetype. He is chosen for his appeal to the ideals of independence, intelligence, and self-motivation. Wholesome, right? Wrong! While he does display hallmark traits such as a high degree of independence, emotional detachment, and success, he also manipulates and destroys those around him for personal gain. Ironically and unironically, the Sigma community ate it up, loving the idea of these twisted figures as representations of the ultimate independent male. The direction that the internet has dragged the Sigma male archetype warped it from someone independent, stoic, successful, and observant, and contorted it into a form of Machiavellianism by glorifying amoral and antisocial characters. Patrick Bateman is the psychopathic protagonist and wealthy Wall Street banker in Bret Easton Ellis's novel American Psycho, published in 1991 and later popularized by its film adaptation in 2000. Bateman is a symbol of capitalist greed and societal emptiness, which originally criticized the superficiality and moral decay of 80s America. He strongly resembles the Machiavellian villain trope. He is materialistic, obsessed with wealth and status, and emotionally hollow, hiding his inner psychopathy by maintaining an outer appearance of success. His facade is captured in his opening monologue, where he describes in excessive detail his morning routine, hiding his inhumanity behind a well-groomed exterior. He explains that he doesn't even believe he is human, that he is only an entity, some kind of abstraction, something illusory, even going so far to say that I, Bateman, am simply not there. His social circle is devoid of connection and is solely based on superficial commonalities between his colleagues and acquaintances, and he feels he is entirely separate from society's norms. These relationships and interactions are highly transactional, finding satisfaction in exercising his autonomy and control over them. He is exceptionally depraved and uses strategy and deception to hide his psychopathic tendency towards violence and manipulation, with which he is indiscriminate and remorseless. He believes serial killers symbolize ultimate control over life and death, who exercise total power over their victims, a level of control that he desires. His obsession with wealth and status, his amorality, and his focus on asserting control, personal gain, and satisfaction align strongly with the Machiavellian character. The Machiavellian's disregard for morality, manipulation, and deceit are central to Bateman's character. And now yet you're here left again questioning, what in the bloody hell does this have to do with the Sigma male? And all I have to say is, shut up! Shut up! I'm getting there! Obviously, if Bateman didn't align with the Sigma male ideals, he wouldn't be so popular as a symbol. But he is, so, you know. Though not a perfect representation, the archetype's slow shift towards Machiavellianism and its symbiosis with Sigma ideals lent to Bateman's portrayal as an extraordinarily perverted version of the Sigma male. Bateman exaggerates the caricature to the extreme, taking the lone wolf persona and the 15 telltale signs you're a Sigma male, and distorts them completely. Traits like observant and strategic thinking and emotional distance are corrupted into manipulation and complete absence of humanity and empathy, and a total internal sense of alienation from society. Values such as success and self-reliance have deteriorated into greed and selfishness. This makes Bateman a Sigma Machiavellian hybrid of sorts. Oh boy, and don't just take my word for it. Many influences associated with the Sigma male community promote similar ideals of greed, unemotionality, and the pursuit of self-interest in disregard for others, claiming that it is unmasculine to do otherwise.
I do know how to administer CPR. However, I will not administer CPR unless you're a hot female. If you're some fat dude and you just had a heart attack and I don't really know you, you're gonna die. Dude I don't know and you need CPR and everyone's looking at me, who knows CPR? Well, me. Help him! No. Why? Because I ain't gay.
Patrick Bateman, however, isn't the perfect Sigma male we all thought he was. He is plagued by anxiety and low self-esteem, and is sometimes led to kill by a sense of inadequacy due to people having better taste than him. His narcissism does lead him to seek validation from others despite acting indifferent. This goes against the sentiment that the Sigma does not care about societal validation.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers Van Patten's card to mine.
Despite these glaring un-Sigma traits, many people who buy into his character misconstrue his narcissism as independence, and despite not necessarily being a Sigma trait, find appeal in his domination and impulsive violence. This is probably due to the emphasis that the Sigma male is at the top of the socio-sexual hierarchy rubbish, and his assertion of his superiority, despite being fueled by inadequacy, bolsters the image of the dominant pinnacle of masculinity. This only feeds further into the negative traits being peddled around the internet. Bateman's enigmatic and sinister identity captivated the online Sigma community's desire to appear cool, edgy, and set themselves apart from normie mainstreamers. Its ever-increasing internet popularity, relentless online mockery, and romanticization of antisocial and amoral traits have severely distorted its image. At its core, it is just a glorification of the lone wolf archetype, but the rising emphasis on darker portrayals and characters morphed it into a ruthless, self-obsessive, amoral manipulator. And now, what we've all been waiting for, the man, the myth, the Machiavellian legend, Iago! Good old villainous Iago. He's the primary antagonist of Shakespeare's play Othello, and he's full of Machiavellian magic. Machiavellianism was highly popular at the time Othello was written, and in classic Shakespeare fashion, he adopted the philosophy and transformed it into the Machiavellian villain. The prominence of the Machiavel within Shakespearean literature explains Iago's incredibly strong adherence to these values. In the play, he is Othello's disloyal standard-bearer who develops a complex conspiracy to ruin him after he is passed over by Othello for promotion in favor of Cassio, who is made a lieutenant. He's a trickster, manipulator, and completely morally indifferent, driven by his anger to cause chaos. He shows no empathy or remorse of the mayhem he orchestrates as he drives Othello into a state of paranoia and rage, wherein he smothers his wife Desdemona. His motivations are of pure self-interest, which he masks behind a facade of loyalty and honesty. And, just like many other deadbeat analysts, I will somehow correlate this 421-year-old scoundrel to a contemporary idea: the Sigma male. Iago displays trademark qualities of independence, emotional distance, and strategic thinking which are paramount in allowing him to exercise his darker Machiavellian traits. His detachment from emotional connections mirrors the Sigma's tendency to exist outside of normal societal expectations. Iago's strength lies in his strategic brilliance. He's always 2 steps ahead, and his long-term planning and calculation reflect the observance and strategic traits held by Sigmas. But how can we be so sure? I mean, let's be real. I feel like to really solidify the argument that Iago is a Sigma male, I'm going to need some real good comparison. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, me. Whether by happenstance or just because they're both evil psychos, Iago and Bateman share many similar traits as Machiavels, and in turn, Bateman's Sigma male qualities are similarly present in Iago. Like Bateman, Iago embodies the perversion of the Sigma male archetype. They are both psychopaths who are emotionally detached, manipulative, and driven by self-satisfaction. Specifically, both Iago and Bateman are manipulators of perception, disguising their true natures behind a mask. Just as Bateman disguises his psychopathy behind a big bank account, a smile, and a well-groomed persona, Iago plays the role of a loyal ensign whilst plotting Othello's downfall. They are both lone wolves in sheep's clothing in systems they manipulate but do not care to be a part of. Iago reveals his duplicity in Act 1, Scene 1 when he assures his friend, Rodrigo, that although he appears to be loyal to Othello, he actually hates him. When my outward action doth demonstrate the native act and figure of my heart in complement extern, 'tis not long after but I will wear my heart upon my sleeve for doors to peck at. I am not what I am. And wouldn't you know it, Iago's statement, I am not what I am, bears a strong resemblance to Bateman's self-descriptors of being illusory and an abstraction, going so far as to say as there is no real me. Both Iago and Bateman express the dissonance between their outward personas and inward intentions. The deception enables them to hide in plain sight whilst enacting autonomy and ruthless self-interest. Both Bateman and Iago experience a level of alienation within their social circles and are fundamentally alone. Womp womp. They don't harbour deep connections with others and prefer to operate independently. Just like Bateman, Iago's interactions with those around him, even his own wife, are primarily transactional. Both he and Bateman view others as tools and obstacles rather than human beings. However, unlike Bateman, Iago isn't afflicted with persistent low self-esteem and anxiety. He only seeks validation of his honesty and loyalty to bring himself closer to his ultimate goal of destroying Othello, driven by resentment, jealousy, and a thirst for control. Iago doesn't seek traditional power or social validation, and his intentions are unclear. Ultimately, he revels in the chaos he causes and his control over Othello, and throughout the play is seemingly driven by his desire to tear down all those who he perceives have wronged him. Throughout the play, Iago continuously displays the telltale, albeit distorted, signs of a Sigma male. His calculation, manipulation, and amorality align strongly with the Sigma's emotional and social detachment, strategic mind, and autonomy. Furthermore, he even outdoes the Sigma male icon Patrick Bateman through his complete disregard for validation, status, and power, only pursuing what appeals to his self-interests. Iago's striking similarity to Bateman as a symbol for the Sigma male shows that he is an incredibly strong representation of the Machiavellian and its connection with the perversion of the Sigma male archetype. Despite being written centuries ago, Shakespeare once again exercises his immortality through literature in the villain of Iago. Iago's Machiavellian character laid the foundation for the contemporary Sigma male, paving the way for characters such as Patrick Bateman. I don't actually think Iago did that. Iago probably didn't inspire the Sigma male archetype, nor inspire Patrick Bateman, but, it's funny to think about. It is clear that despite the Sigma male only appearing within the last decade, it has deep roots in history, culture, and literature. Iago continues to represent literature's ability to endure throughout time and still achieve relevancy today. Iago is truly Shakespeare's forgotten Sigma. Don't mess with the Sigma, bro.